Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. He is a brilliant leader within thousands of videos. YouTube is probably a lot like that. Have you seen today's video? It's going to be different if what Steve Jaffer has learned in 50 years of life. If I had only 15 minutes, let me teach you what it's like. The answer is probably yes today. That's what happened at Stanford in 2005. Steve Jobs has a space at the university. He gave his life to the best lessons in 15 minutes. He told me 3 stories. Now, if I were to ask you the stand of Steve Jobs, did you hear the comment? Most people, except a few, would say that I didn't hear. These are the major speakers highly recommended to all once in a lifetime for everyone people need to listen. Let's get started. Let's be the best in the world, your admission to the university. I am honored to be at the event. I don't think I didn't graduate from college today. I'm a graduate of a university. I'm watching the best show today. I'll tell you 3 stories of my life. It's not just the first 3 stories. The story is the story of a life 6 of the university's admissions. I quit school in a month. Out of the university entirely. A year and a half before I left, that's why I quit studying. My mother was before I was born, a graduate of the university. The student wanted to give me. My mother wanted to adopt me into this family, a person who has a university degree. The lawyer and his wife to adopt me, I agreed. But after I was born, my parents thought it was a girl. The kids were expecting it late at night. The lawyer called the family. Unexpectedly, we have a son. Do you want to adopt him? They said, of course, my mother would know later. None of the family's lawyers, I didn't graduate from university. Parents, even in high school. My mother didn't know this, didn't sign the contract a few years later, my parents. They gave me the university. My mother taught me and I listened to her. That's how I agreed to live my life. It's been 17 years since I started. I went to college, but it's as expensive as Stanford. I chose the university. All the parents of lower middle class. The money was spent on my education. I've been going like this for 6 months. I couldn't find any meaning. A university for the future. I understand how it plays a role. I couldn't see my parents. Money spent on education for life. I went to university, so I decided to leave, and I believed that everything would be all right. The decision was made at the time. It was terrible, but now I know it was. Best decision of my life. It's easy when I stopped studying. I got rid of all the boring classes and then go to my favorite classes. It all started with a very romantic. I had no place of my own. I'm on the floor in my friend's room. I'll give back the used Coke bottle. I would have passed the cent, and with it I buy food at least once a week. 7 miles to eat every Sunday night. Walking on the other side of town, I love going to the temple. I'm intrigued most of what I've done. It's valuable to me. Let me give you an example of Reed College. Probably the best calligraphy in the country at that time. Courses were all posters and levels on campus. It was painted with elephant calligraphy. Because I'm a college student, I didn't learn calligraphy easily. I joined a new course. I learned different types of serifs and sans serifs. Great for reducing font space. I learned how to make a typography. It was a great historical science. It's the art that attracted me. Calligraphy is the thing that works in my life. I didn't think it would happen for 10 years. When we got the first Macintosh computer, I have all the knowledge to design. We used it on a Mac computer. I used the design. It was beautiful. I was the first computer with typography. If you are not enrolled in a calligraphy course, I would have a variety of faces on a Mac computer, and there was no proportionate distance font, because Windows copied the work of the Mac. So it can be said that any personal computer, there was no university, I never went to a calligraphy class, I wouldn't have entered a personal A computer, can be so beautiful. It wasn't while at university. These are isolated events in time. It was not possible to create a link but 10. Looking back over the years, it's all I know. You'll never know the future. Looking back on events of the past, you can't just stick to it. I can look back and believe in you. All the things that need to happen in the future. It will give you a good result. You just have to believe in your idea. If you're lucky enough to have a life, believe that all things in life are one day you'll get a good result. You can do it, and that's how you succeed. This is my second love story. I was lucky to have lost my life when I first found my love. When I was 20 years old, I had our family garage, Apple. We started the company and worked hard. I worked in a garage for 10 years. Apple 4000 from the company of a $2 billion company. I was 30 years old when we're the best computer, the Macintosh left the market. And that's when how to get a job on your own, losing a job at a company. We may have grown up with Apple. I thought I had hired a talented person. He's a good company with us. Everything will be fine for the first year. But plans for the future are slowly. I have a difference of opinion with him. We began to see our institution. The management also took his side, so 30 years. When I got out of the company, I've been out in public a lot. All the dreams of youth are gone in an instant. I broke down the next few days. I didn't know for months what I was going to do. I felt like I was the next generation. I've ruined entrepreneurs. I've been given the responsibility. I can't stand David Packard and meet Bob Noyce sincerely. I'm sorry about my failure. I've been scattered all over the valley. I tried to run away, but slowly, I began to feel something. After all I've done before, I love the fact that you can't change me so much. It's been done, but it still works. My love isn't new anymore. And then I decided to start. I didn't realize it, but later I had to fight with Apple. The best success of my life. I'm free from all the burdens. I've started a new life. I'm at the most creative time of my life. I had the opportunity to travel for 5 years. I started a company called NeXT. Let's start another company called Picture, and fell in love with a beautiful girl. I'm married to the picture. Toy Story is the world's first animated film. I'm currently making the world's most. What happens after a successful animation studio? Apple's surprise acquisition of NeXT. And I'm back to Apple. The technology is now Apple's. At the heart of business success, on the other hand, who is Lauren and I build together? I'm sure they are a happy family. If nothing had happened to me, it was taken out of Apple. It's a very good medicine for me, but I think the patient needs it. Sometimes you've got life in your head. Don't believe me when I'm hurt. I'm sure I could move forward. Because I loved what I did. Of course you'll find your love. It'll be just like your love. Find people who work for you. You'll be happy it's going to be the biggest job of your life. You'll be part of your job. You can do what you want when you want. If you still love your job, if you can't find love, don't stop looking for love. If you find it, your mind is right. It's like any relationship. As long as you love, it's yours. I'd love to find a good home. Don't stop. My last story. I wrote a book when I was 17. I know if you read this every day, start today is the last day of your life. One day it's definitely yours. I think that's true. In the last 33 years, every morning in front of the mirror, I asked myself what would I do on the last day? I'm going to do it today. If I didn't answer the question, I would understand. I need to change my plan. I think I'm going to die soon to make the most important decisions. It all helped because there was hope. Fear of failure. Everything dies in the face of death. It's only really important. I know I'm afraid of losing something. The best way to get out of your mind, it's like, you're going to die one day. You're really losing everything. There is no reason not to do what you want. I couldn't have a few years ago. Cancer was diagnosed one morning. I have a scan at 7. It's definitely one of my pancreas. I didn't even know there was a tumor. The rest of the doctors he told me that it was there is no cure for cancer and they live for 3 to 6 months. Take me home and set it all up. The doctors told me to put it straight. It means to be prepared for death. Your children in the next 10 years. What you're going to say in the next few. This means that in a month's time, keep it all to yourself. It's less for the family. It's painful for everyone the whole day to say goodbye. My diagnosis is my one for the night. The biopsy is that they're through my throat. I put down an endoscope that's mine. Through the stomach into the intestine, go through it and insert the needle. I took some cells from the tumor. I was blind, so I didn't see anything. But my wife told me later, cells obtained from endoscopy crying when examined under a microscope. It was started because of there is no cure for cancer and they live for 3 to 6 months. Take me home and set it all up. The doctors told me to put it straight. It means to be prepared for death. Your children in the next 10 years. What you're going to say in the next few. This means that in a month's time, keep it all to yourself. It's less for the family. It's painful for everyone. The whole day to say goodbye. My diagnosis is my one for the night. The biopsy is that they're through my throat. I put down an endoscope that's mine. Through the stomach into the intestine, go through it and insert the needle. I took some cells from the tumor. I was blind, so I didn't see anything. But my wife told me later, cells obtained from endoscopy crying when examined under a microscope. It was started because of it was pancreatic cancer. It can actually be treated with surgery. I had surgery and I'm fine now. That's the closest I've been to death. I'm hoping for a few more decades. Don't let me get close to death. I just want to think before I die. But it was a terrible experience, more about death than ever before. There's something for sure about you. I know that nobody wants to die. Even those who want to go to heaven, I don't want to die. But then death is the final destination for all of us. No one can escape death. Maybe it's because death is life. It's the greatest discovery that changes lives. The agent of death washes away the old to make room for the new. You're new right now, but slowly. Wash as you get older. That day isn't too far away. I'm sorry to be dramatic, but that's the truth. Your time is limited. Don't waste time living someone else's life. Belief that is born of the thoughts of others, he's trapped in his own faith. Don't live your life on someone else's opinion. Don't let the words of your mind be brave enough to speak your mind. You can only know your own mind. What do I want to be when I'm all? When I was young, there was a newspaper. It was called the Whole Earth Catalog, a book for our generation. Stewart figured it out. A gentleman by the name of Brand. He lived near the park. The newspaper was brought to life by computer in the late 1960s. And desktop publishing hasn't even started yet. The magazine-type letter scissors, Polaroid cameras were made of it. The paper was bound by Google. A lot of information and good ideas, Google's rich magazine 35 years ago. It was published by Stewart's team, a large number of catalogs of brokers. The newspaper ended up being published with a closing number. It was 70. I was in the middle of the decade. The end of the age magazine like you. The village at the back of the morning, there's a picture of you on the way. Maybe they're fond of adventure. You can walk to the village. It was written below, be hungry, be stupid. That was their last message. Hungry for me, I'm a fool. That's what I've been praying for today. Start your new life after graduation. I'm praying for you right now. I'm hungry, don't be stupid, to all. Thanks a lot.